Good morning. This is the press statement of the Eastern Cape government about the decisions of the Executive Council. Before we go into the statement, let me start with what happened in Mkanduli, where a mother and her 5 children were murdered. The Eastern Cape Provincial government condemns this crime. This gruesome killing of a mother and her 5 children is barbaric. We have no place for this in our society. We have confidence that the South African police will find the person or the people who killed this mother and the children. The question that we have to ask is, what type of a person does this to a woman and children? We encourage the people of this village who may have information about possible suspects or suspect to share the information with the police. We send our heartfelt condolences to the family of this woman, the mother of these children and the children. The statement then starts with the response to COVID-19. The Executive Council welcomes the support from national government to work with the Eastern Cape Provincial government in responding to the resurgent COVID-19 infections in our province. The Executive Council welcomes the ministers that are visiting the province this week. During its meeting, the Executive Council received a detailed report from the Provincial Disaster Operations Center. The report showed that there were more than 120,000 COVID cases in the Eastern Cape, with more than 107,000 recoveries. Sadly, more than 4,400 deaths. 8,500 active cases were recorded, and a total number of 8,745 health workers tested positive for COVID. And from this number, we sadly have lost 143 of these health workers. The Executive Council remains concerned at the increasing numbers of infections in the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro, Sarah Baartman District, Buffalo City, and Amatole District municipalities. The increase can be attributed to a lack of compliance by some residents of these municipalities. The Executive Council has said that the province can lower the rate of transmission of infections if the people of our province comply with the prevention measures of wearing their masks in public, keeping a physical distance wherever they're outside, and washing and sanitizing their hands at all times. We currently have more than 1,200 people that are admitted in our hospitals in the province of the Eastern Cape. And of this number, more than 1,100 people are in general wards. 124 people are admitted in ICU, 21 people are in high care, and 404 people are on oxygen, and 62 people that are admitted in hospitals are on ventilators. This is according to a report received by the EXCO as of 25 November 2020. This information changes daily as new data is reported by government institutions. However, we put this information as the data that was reported to and discussed by the Executive Council of the Eastern Cape Provincial Government. The hospitals of our province, including those in the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro, are not full and are not overflowing. The province is also monitoring the gradual increase in the incidence of COVID-19 among Alfred Nzo, OR Tambo districts, which are low transmission rates for a long time. I mean, there have been a low transmission rate for a long time. Accelerated actions are currently underway to respond to key elements of mitigation of COVID-19 resurgence. This includes mass screening and testing in hotspot areas, greater stakeholder cooperation, especially with tavern owners, the taxi industry, and general public. It remains critical to ready the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro, Sarah Baartman, and the rest of the province for the festive season. To this end, preparation for border area management and screening as well as testing is swiftly underway. The EXCO noted with concern the general lags in compliance with Alert Level 1 regulations and COVID-19 hygiene protocols and non-compliance with the curfew that has been set by some entertainment areas and retail outlets, an increase in alcohol-related incidents, wearing of masks and social distancing that are not adhered to during some mass gatherings such as parties, churches and funerals. The Executive Council appeals to the people of our province to adhere to the protocols put in place to prevent infections in order to save lives, especially their own. EXCO also took a decision tasking the Provincial Department of Health to improve the management of patients in the hospitals, ensure that proper care is given to patients, and that people who visit hospitals with ailments and who need to be admitted are prioritized. The Department of Health will also be ensuring that people who have COVID-19 who are infected are assisted and admitted to hospital wards that have been refurbished and resourced for COVID-19 patients. The plan is to stop the incidents where patients were turned away from some hospitals as some people's condition deteriorates, while some sadly lose their lives while in the casualty division or section of the hospitals. EXCO resolved that all future events of the provincial government will be rolled out using virtual platforms until further notice. This includes the programs that have already been approved for rollout, such as the World AIDS Day. The Executive Council tasked the Director General to review a risk-adjusted approach with regards to reducing physical contact time in government, exploring reducing percentage of government workers or employees working in government offices to 50% staff complement in order to reduce risk of infections. The Executive Council emphasized that those who will be working from home will have to work, continue with their jobs, responsibilities, so that government performance is not affected and that government is able to continue serving the people of the province. All government employees who will be working from home will not be on holiday, and they are required to continue working to service the people of our province. The Executive Council supports promotion of public information for public action and behavioral change. The daily release of epidemiological information to critical stakeholders it will be done to ensure community awareness. Regular media briefings by government officials, especially political leadership, will focus on research and patterns, communicating government interventions in the metros and Sarabatman district municipality, where all these were approved by EXCO to ensure that we communicate to the people. EXCO also recognizes and appreciates the support from national government, especially the National Department of Health, the World Health Organization, business organizations, non-governmental organizations that are lending a hand in the work that we're doing. With regards to Ulwaluko, the Executive Council maintains that Ulwaluko is still suspended until further notice by government. The provincial government continues in this regard to engage national government on this matter, and the outcome of this engagement will be communicated by government. EXCO appreciates the level of interest on this matter and the sensitivities of this matter, including the important responsibility that we have to save lives, are being taken into consideration during the engagements between national and provincial government. Implementation of the economic recovery plan. Let's focus on Iskalo. A report was tabled to the Executive Council about the performance of the fund, including applications received, processed, and approved. There are 51 business applications that have been approved for funding by Iskalo Youth Fund. These are 10 projects from Alfredo, 10 from Buffalo City, and Amatole, 8 from Owartambo, 5 from Joe Gabi, 10 from the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro, 8 from Krisani District municipalities. While noting the progress report, the Executive Council took a decision to task the Director General to attend to the challenges and performance concerns of Iskalo Youth Fund. The Executive Council wants to improve the performance of this program by helping more young people to access the fund for their businesses. Government wants to make it easy for young people to access the fund for their businesses so that the province can deal with youth unemployment and unemployment broadly. The work to be done by the Director General and HODs of the Department of Economic Development, Environmental Affairs and Tourism and their teams is to ensure that the allocated funds are spent on young people for the current financial year and in the coming financial years, so that there's no money that goes unspent. With regards to the Economic Stimulus Fund, the Executive Council welcomed the report about the funding of key economy stimulating projects. There are 15 projects that have been approved for funding, and an amount of 285 million has been disbursed for a period of over 3 years. The projects are in the ICT, agriculture, agro-processing, manufacturing, oceans economy, tourism, township rural economy, and film production. The EXCO emphasized the need to improve distribution of these funds to help companies that are battling because of the current economic climate that is made worse by the COVID-19 virus pandemic. The Executive Council was not happy with the performance of this fund and has tasked the Director General to lead the resolution of the challenges reported to the meeting that affect the performance of the stimulus fund. The Provincial Treasury has commissioned a review of the Provincial Economic Stimulus Fund. The process will review the design and implementation of the fund to date, and they will also recommend how the fund can be optimized and enhanced to achieve its intended objectives. With regards to the management of the shortfall for compensation of employees, the compensation of employees budget for the province was reduced by 2.4 billion when the Minister of Finance tabled the medium-term policy statement to fund economic recovery of the country and also as part of fiscal consolidation. The Executive Council approved the withdrawal of 2 billion from the provincial reserves to fund the shortfall created by the reduction of our COE budget. This meant we were then short of 1.4 billion, or just above 1.4 for the compensation of employees. EXCO then took a decision to reduce further expenditure by only allowing filling of critical vacant posts and funded posts by departments, with priority given to posts that are critical and essential in the operations of provincial departments to help them meet their constitutional responsibilities. Departments that have not issued appointment letters to potential candidates as at 11 November 2020 will be given a chance to resubmit their motivation for any critical and essential vacant funded post or replacement posts to be filled through the PCMT, a structure that deals with that. As part of reducing costs, as of 1 December 2020, a moratorium on monetary overtime payment for all non-essential service staff has been put in place. Departments will no longer offer personal notches to new appointments. Departments were tasked by the Executive Council to improve their infrastructure project management to avoid wastage and variation orders. Departments were tasked also to improve competency, productivity, and performance management to avoid utilization of consultants. Departments will maintain existing learnerships and internship numbers with no replacements until the end of the current financial year. Henceforth, government departments shall now make use of virtual meetings to reduce traveling costs of government officials, with the exception of essential service workers or essential staff members. The Executive Council resolved that a research study based on scientific determination, norms and standards must be conducted to arrive on the acceptable size of government employees in the province. More details on this will be communicated or announced by the Finance MEC when it tables the midterm budget statement this afternoon at the provincial legislature. A circular will be issued to government departments communicating this decision around COE. preliminary report about the recent disaster that hit parts of the province. The Executive Council received a report from the Interministerial Task Team that was established by the Premier to coordinate the provincial government's response to this disaster, to support Owar Tambo, Alfrenzo, Krizani, Jogabi, and Amatole municipalities with quantifying and costing the damage caused by the disaster. The IMC is made up of MECs Kolile Ngata, Nonkubela Pitas, Babalo Madigizela, and Wezwetikana Glotiwe. EXCO sends its condolences to people who died, to families of the people who died because of the recent storm, and wishes those who were injured speedy recovery. The storm affected schools, homes, health facilities, creches, electricity supply, telephone connection in some of our communities. The Executive Council resolved that the Provincial Department of Human Settlements should not procure temporary housing structures as a relief shelter for people whose houses were damaged by the disaster, but must build permanent houses, because erecting a temporary structure is expensive compared to speeding a construction of a permanent homes for our people. Both ESCOM and Telcom continue restoring provision of services to communities affected by this storm. The Executive Council took a decision to complete the technical work of quantifying and costing the damage caused by the disaster, directing sector departments to mobilize necessary resources to respond to the damage caused by this disaster. Part of this is to use internal capacity in the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure to attend to the partially affected houses in order to save costs. The IMC will work with municipalities to start the process of declaring disaster in each municipal jurisdiction, following which a process to declare a provincial disaster will be started. Let's give an update on the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro. The Executive Council notes the fact that the meeting of the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro's Municipal Council that was convened following a granting of the court order so that the council can elect the mayor, failed to elect the mayor. This is concerning because the municipal council did nothing to comply with the court order. The Executive Council took a decision to allow the MEC for Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs to consult our legal team on this matter. The MEC will then submit a report to the Executive Council about available options to deal with the challenges facing the Nelson Mandela Metro, including the failure by council to elect the mayor of the municipality. The announcement that we have is that the Provincial World AIDS Day will take place in Amatole on 1 December. Government will communicate through the AIDS Council more information on this. Thank you.